Sakamoto Days, episode 13, Just Desserts. Now we need to find out who's serving who. So let's talk about it. Welcome back, Geek Variant. So we were talking about Sakamoto Days, episode 13, Just Desserts, and we start off with Shin having a flashback, and he's talking with the family about motor readiness potential, and in regards to the subconscious, how your brain has already decided what to do before you even realize what you're doing. And Wu Tang is one who's explaining all this stuff. He's a smart guy. He was during the whole casino episode, and being able to read your opponents and know what they're going to do before they even know what they're going to do is going to give you the upper hand. And we end up kind of flashing back to this is the whole conversation is having between Sakamoto family, and this is before Shin's current fight. So we end up jumping back to Shin's current fight and him and Lou in the department store facing off against Saul. And we more or less perceive that this is what Shin has discovered to do. This is his ability to be able to see the future. He sees what you're going to do before you even do it because he's reading your motor readiness potential. Now, he's still getting used to this. So while he's able to land in a couple good hits, Saul ends up kind of getting the upper hand, ends up wrapping him up because he's still trying to adjust to this new power. And as soon as Saul gets the upper hand, we see Lou come in with a crazy hit and knocks him flying into a wall. And he's more or less like, where did that come from? And Shin's kind of looking surprised as well. But we see Lou is not her normal self. She ends up taking her hair down and she's just like, yo, I'm ready to mess anybody up who messes with my family. Like, I ain't playing no games. And we see that Shin discovers that she has drunk about 500 milliliters of straight ethanol. So she's not her angry drunk. She's not her happy drunk. She's not her emotional drunk. Like, no, she's straight up like mafia drunk. And this is where this new persona comes in. And she starts to go to work on Saul. Like, she is not playing no games. She is rocking him left and right. He is not ready for this at all. Basically, it goes so far as to she puts a trowel through his forearm, telling him, like, hey, I'm not playing any games with you. Like, I'm going to take off each one of your fingers one by one for each person that you've messed up. Like, she is not playing any games, and it is absolutely refreshing to see Lou like not care. Like, I'm gonna mess you up entirely. So he ends up running away and trying to get away from her. And in the process of this, we actually see Shin, again, peep game with his motivated potential and kind of come around the backside and smashes Saw in the spine with a ladder and takes him out. Not just like, one of those regular ladders, like it's one of those collapsible ladders, like WWE style. Takes one of those and just smacks it across his spine and lays him out. So he's officially retired per this fight. And that's it. He's done. So great to see with Lou, like, coming in clutch like that, and Shin trying to and Shin making the save at the very end. They were able to take him down. Now we go over to the order who's having lunch. If you remember, Osaragi was talking about, hey, we should have lunch. You should eat something lucky for lunch. So that's what they're doing. They're having lunch. And Shishiba ends up getting the call that one has already been taken down and that another one is in the process of being taken down because Nagamo's on the hunt for one of the other ones. So, of course, Shishiba's like kind of annoyed because they may not get a chance to take down anyone. And Osaragi's like, well, you wanted to have lunch and stuff. And he's like, no, you wanted to have lunch. It was your suggestion specifically, but whatever. We'll just kind of deal with it. He's one of those really like, we'll just kind of go with the flow kind of deal. So, of course, with Nagamo on the heels of one, Osaragi is not one to be outdone. So she's, trying to hurry up and finish eating. So she was like, that's kind of rude, don't shovel food in your face. But she wants to go off to go find one of the inmates to take one down. So she leaves her bowl for Shishiba to finish. Of course, he's upset because it has onions in it. If you saw last episode, you know how he feels about onions. He don't play the game. So we basically see Osaragi end up running off to go find someone. Now, back at the department store, Shin and Lou have passed out, and Saul has seen escaping. So he was bound up on one of the stanchions, and now he's escaping out to a taxi. He's threatening the taxi driver, like, hey, yo, I need to get out of here. He's like, I already have a passenger. He's like, I don't care. We're going to make a detour because I will take you out. So he gets in the car, is like, hey, we're getting ready to roll. And then the other passenger makes a comment, and he's like, oh, we got to make a stop first before you get to wherever you're going. And the passenger is like, yeah. I've already made it to where I need to be. And we find out that it's Hyo. Hyo was one of the other members of the order that was in in the car. So Hyo immediately dispatches Saw. You see the entire taxi just get coated in red. And Hyo walks out like it's nothing and carries on about his business. Back inside, you see Shin and Lu, who are now waking up from being passed out, and they're as they woke up, they see that the floaters are there, and the floaters are members of the JAA, like they're in classes to become assassins, so they work part time doing cleanup and kind of resetting stores back to where they were and stuff after assassins have went and done the work if things got a little bit messy. So Shin and Lu, knowing that they're here, and they get informed that yes, Saul has been dispatched, so don't worry about it, so they can carry on. So Shin and Lu are like, okay, well, we got to get back to the store because we got stuff to do. Move on to where Oragi has, gone off to go find someone, and Osaragi decides to go stop and pray at a temple, and she prays for the ability to take down the inmates because she wants the chance to do so. While doing this, Dump ends up showing up, and Dump tries to take her out, and it is blocked by Osaragi, who looks at Dump and says, hey, thank you for coming. My prayers have been answered. And of course, Dump is like, you're ugly, and I don't care about you. You shouldn't. You be here. Let me, get rid of you right now. And Osaragi's like, well, you're here at a Japanese temple. Do you know how you're supposed to respond to the Japanese temple? And she's like, no. Who's like, let me show you. So she takes Dump's face and smashes her into this stone pillar twice, then claps her face twice and explains the process of so you're supposed to bow 2 times, then you're supposed to clap 2 times, and oh, you're supposed to bow once more, and then smashes her face again. So completely starts rocking her, and it is hilarious how this rips off. Osaragi is not playing any games. Like I already saw it, she was kind of nonchalant and kind of just monotone, just want to get everything. But as Dump starts to get back up and starts to get ready to fight, we see that Osaragi likes to liken, new characters she meets to certain things. So Sakamoto, she related to a teddy bear. Well, Dump, she relates to an echidna because of all the spikes coming out of her. So she's trying to figure out, like, okay, where do the spikes come from? What are see what she's got 2 from the hand, she's got 6 from the chest. Like, where does she store these spikes? Does she store them in her bones? She's just asking questions, just trying to figure stuff out in her head, while Dump is threatening her with a makeover and says, I'm gonna take you out. Meanwhile, Shishiba is kind of walking around looking for Osaragi at this time, just mind his own business, but they're still within the same area. So it's more or less like Shishi was down below somewhere, while up at the temple is Osaragi and Dump, dealing with it. During this process, we see that Osaragi carries her briefcase, and Dump ends up relieving her of the briefcase and proceeds to full on attack. And while doing so, we see that Osaragi, just dodges and then uses what she has to her advantage by using the bell from the temple, snatches it down and kicks it into Dump to kick her flying off the cliff, more or less down to where her suitcase is. And she follows her. And again, Osaragi gets an opening for attack and just starts, kind of going in on Dump. And Dump is still trying to utilize her spikes to the best of her ability offensively. And while all this is going on, she's kind of explaining her backstory where she wants to love everyone, and no one really wants to love her and all this other stuff. It's like, but every time she has loved someone or somebody has loved her, she has taken them out. Like you see through her recollection, so that the bodies, whether it be a cat, it be freaking a young guy or whatever, like she has taken out everybody at some point in time. And then once she's taken them out, she's disgusted with them, which we saw earlier uh, in the start of the season where she took somebody out. She's like, "You're so beautiful," and as soon as they were gone, like, you're ugly now. So it's like I don't know where her head's at. But during this process, she ends up launching these spikes and ends up sending one through Osaragi's hand, and she dodges all the other ones. And it's literally right through the palm of her hand. And Osaragi, without even flinching, is just, still talking to her and stuff like that. And it just starts moving forward, like letting the spike just continue to travel through her hand. Like it's already in there. Why not? It goes up and grabs her hand to her hand and literally lays a kick into her, causing her to retract the spikes, of course, freeing Osaragi and kick her across the whole little playing field that they're in at this point. And it's hilarious because now Osaragi gets access to her weapon. And while this is going on and the fight is still going on, you see Dump just talking about how she still just truly wants to be loved and she doesn't get that option. But Osaragi is talking about how we're both killers, we're both assassins, we're both here for a reason. She's an assassin, the other one's just a killer. But why we're made, and she's like, my purpose is I'm here. Like I'm here to deal with people like you and to take out people and go on and do what needs to be done. So that way, you know, the whole purpose behind their gods or whatever the case may be is to, balance. It's like, why would you create this thing and then create something else? If there's a reason for it, there's balance with this. So this is where the balance comes in. And she speaks to her, and it's really really good because as Dump is talking the entire time about how she wants to be loved, Osaragi, she's pulled out her weapon now, she's getting started up, and she tells Dump like that Dump is there and that's her reason for being, is to take out people like Dump. And she tells Dump that she loves her, and you see Dump have that moment of realization where it's like, I'm loved, someone actually loves me, so with that, before she is mercilessly freaking cut into, as well as all the stanchions around, like sliced straight through, like it's straight nasty. And she is dispatched. So 2 down, 2 to go. Next, we flash over to Heisuke, who's up in a tower. He's searching for the inmates from up high. He's kind of looking through a little telescope and stuff to kind of see, and talking to Pisuke like, this is what you see all the time. This is great. And I think this is leading to something, because we end up getting a zoom in on it's Kashima, who is going into a hotel. And Kashima going into the hotel, and he's talking to Slur. He's talking to Slur, and while he's talking to Slur, he's talking about the 2 inmates that are being eliminated. And with the 2 inmates that are being eliminated, they need to plan their next move, as the order has been drawn out like they wanted the order to be drawn out. So with the order being drawn out, they can move on to the next phase of their plan. As Kashima continues the conversation, he's walking into his hotel room. While in his hotel room, there's a part. A part is there, and he's listening, and he's tired of being used. He doesn't want to be used. He's having those issues. So with a part, hearing all this, he's like, I'm going to start doing what I want to do and not what you want to do. And he ends up taking his threads and more or less cutting Kashima into several different pieces because he's upset and he wants to go do what he wants to do. The entire time, Slur's on the phone. Slur's one Kashima's been talking to the entire time. And Slur is just like, let him have his fun. We can use a little kind of random. We're ready for this risk. So just kind of let it be going, because Kashima is going to survive all this, because we already know his body is made up of different parts and stuff. So this doesn't really affect him the same way it would affect anyone else. So he's just there in pieces, most likely going to have to be put back together and continue on, while a part continues to run around and do whatever a part wants to do. And that's just kind of the setup for there. And then we flash over to the other inmate, Minimalist, who is walking up to Sakamoto's shop. And you have Aoi, who is in there at the store, who was having a conversation on the phone when Minimalist walks in and stares her down. And she's like, can I help you with something? And Minimalist is just staring her like freaking. So this is where the episode ends. Absolutely fantastic setup. Like, this was one of the really good episodes for me. Happy to see, all the fights and stuff going down. And we got 2 of the inmates finished off. So now we got 2 more to go. But now you're encroaching in on Sakamoto's wife. Like, we got big problems. Like, so what's Sakamoto going to do? Is he going to get there in time? What's going to happen? Where's Hana? Where's like we got some stakes going on. So I'm excited to see what's going on. If you're excited to see, make sure you hit that little subscribe button. Stay tuned. We're going to keep talking about all this stuff. Sakamoto drops on Mondays. Not sure how many episodes going to be in this particular part, but it's continued off the first season, I believe. So I think it was like 11 episodes to start, 10 or 11. So it may be the same, 10 or 11 to finish out and take us into the end of summer. So I'm happy with this. Again, comments down below. Tell me what you think. What you think of the episode. What characters you're excited to see. What's on the horizon. Don't know. No spoilers, though. We want everybody to enjoy the show as it is. Until then, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Later.